graduated from Cambridge in 1809. That means now, if you think about it, he is graduating right exactly at the height of the Napoleonic Empire. 1810 is the summit. And so at this moment, he and his friend John Hobhouse, there they are, painting of them, set out on their grand tour. He's 21 in 1809, and he makes his first parliamentary speech before they leave. And so now here he was feeling the excitement of being famous. People said, there were people who noticed his speech in 1809 and said that might be a future prime minister. So imagine that. Imagine who Byron really was, and think of that idea that he could have been a prime minister. So it's a fairly extraordinary thing when you think about it, what might have happened. So now they started their trip, 1809, and as he set off, he wrote a poem, Adieu, adieu, my native shore. So goodbye to England, and he was off to Napoleonic Europe. Now this is everybody warned them, said, you're out of your mind. You're going on a trip in the middle of the Napoleonic Wars. Napoleon controls the Caribbean. What are you doing? The Mediterranean, what are you doing? And so first stop was Spain and Portugal, which was still in contention. War was going on in Spain. So the last thing you really wanted to be was a Brit unguarded and not in the army in Spain. But he had to go. He had to see it. Always wanted to go someplace where it was dangerous. It's the first of what will be a whole series of works he will produce on this trip that's going to go on for a total of, 2 years. And he will collect all of these poems. And then when he comes back, he will bring them all together in a big poem called Childe Harold's Pilgrimage. And the word child is spelled Childe, which he takes from ancient Scandinavian poetry. It means a knight's apprentice. So the idea is here is the young apprentice learning about life on this trip. And then when he comes back to London, he will have this whole collection that is basically the trip, the travel, and all the poems that he's written. In the Mediterranean, they visit Malta, they visit Sicily, and then they go on through the Mediterranean to Constantinople. Well, he writes a wonderful poem. It's called Written After Swimming from Sestos to Abydos. Now, you know, there's the Bosphorus, there's the narrowing of the channel there, right, at Constantinople, now Istanbul. And so it's, I think it's 1 mile at one point. And so that's where Byron himself, great swimmer, had to go and see if could he do it, swim from Sestos to Abydos. So he did it. He did it. And then, of course, you can imagine, he came back and wrote a poem about it. The thing about him and the poems and the subject is it's life. It's his life. He's going to write about his life in this poem. And this is based on the story of Hero and Leander. Now, in this story, Leander's the boy and Hero is the girl. It's just 2 Greek names, Hero and Leander. It was an old story that they lived across the Bosphorus from each other. They were in love. And Leander would swim the Bosphorus to come and see his girlfriend. I just think it's so complicated, it's so succinct, it's so economical, it's so filled with references to so much, to the place, to the classics, to the story, to him. You see, now the thing about this, that if you want to analyze this as a work, the thing about this is it's so modern because it connects him, modern him, skeptical, witty, nasty, jabbing him, modern him, to the classical world, to the ancient classical world of Hero and Leander. Here he is, look at this, here he is all dressed up in his Albanian outfit. While they were in Greece, they wanted to see the hinterland. They wanted to go out of Athens and go up into the hinterland. So they arranged mules and stuff and a guide and went way up into Albania, which was run by a robber lord who was a pirate robber lord running a little private kingdom up in Albania. And so when they got up there, the robber king, robber lord, robber pirate king lord wanted to meet him because already he knew this was this English. So the guides took him to the place, and he was introduced, and the guy fell in love with him. The king, the Albanian king. I mean, fell in love with him. I don't mean that metaphorically. Fell in love with him. And so when they said they wanted to leave, he said, "Oh, no, you don't want to leave. No, stay here." So they had to maneuver to get out of the hands of the Albanian robber baron pirate king because he was in love with Byron. Here he is all dressed up in his Albanian outfit. So now you've already added to see the other little aspect to his attraction. It's a multi-gender attraction would be the way to put it. The key point about this is he's writing everything down. Writing every single thing down. Everything that's happening, he's writing down and using and filling with allusions to the classics and allusions to the Middle Ages and all the rest of it. And when he comes home to England in 1811 with John Hobhouse, he is all ready to take his manuscript to the best publisher in London through introductions, John Murray, who was running the #1 publishing house. Now remember, you are now in the age of the great publishing fortunes that are being created now. It started about 1750, but now by 1820, 30, 40, England, London above every place else, London above every place in the world, is in the process of making millions, making fortunes for people through the publishing of books. Why? Because the education of the English reader was exploding. The lowest classes were now literate and could afford the inexpensive paperback books. And so fortunes were being made for people in writing books. Even like Samuel Johnson writing a dictionary gets rich on publishing a dictionary. Gibbon publishes The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. He gets rich on it. That's 1776. So in the 19th century, people like Byron and Dickens will get rich on books, publishing books. The general public is wild. They're crazy in love with books, both fiction and nonfiction. And Byron arrives at exactly the right moment with the right person, with the right persona, with the right imagery and the right story and the right poem to create really the first bestseller in the world of poetry.